Welcome to episode number two, which I didn't think we'd last this long of talking gimmicks. We don't have an intro song yet. I guess that's something I'll eventually work on. But no, for now, just kind of picture it in your head. I am Julio. Over on the other side of the discussion, we've got Joey. What's up, Joey? How you been, my man?
Hey man, how you been?
Doing all right, man. This week has been a pretty interesting week. A lot of travel for me, a lot of work stuff. So uh, always following shit, but not a highlight type week of actual figure hunting and what have you. But not a bad week, man. How about you?
Not too bad. It's been real cold here. A lot of snow, so I haven't been
I don't
able
envy you,
to.
dude. So
Yeah, it's -2 right now.
in case for those watching at home, Joey's up in upstate New York, freezing his ass off, and I'm in Houston, Texas, and it's like 72 degrees right now. It's nice. It's nice outside.
That's a 75-degree swing right there.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about that, Joey. Maybe like glaciers hanging out over in your neck of the woods or something like that. All right. So we'll start off kind of with our weekly recap. There was a lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world. As we mentioned in episode one, we're not going to really get into any reviews of matches per se, but more like overall just wrestling news. And the obvious kind of the big news was the whole Bryan retirement announcement, which the way that kind of worked was like they announced it before the actual show, which I think was kind of weird. Like, what do you think?
I think the reason they might have done that is just to maybe not get the fans to expect him to come out and wrestle. Kind of like a prep thing. Because because imagine him returning in his hometown. They'd all want him to be in the ring, actually performing. So I feel like that was their way to kind of just break it to everyone a little bit, to soften the blow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was good because it would have really kind of killed. I don't think the mood would have died anyways, but like if people were expecting him to go, be in action and stuff, and then he announces his retirement, it would have been way shocking and maybe a little bit more emotional for a lot of people. But I mean, just browsing through Twitter that night, it was like emotions were high. Like people, and I'm not gonna lie, that was like the closest I've gotten to have like my "It's real to me, God damn it" moment.
Yeah, no, that was real tough to watch. I mean, now that I've had like almost a week to really think about it, it's hard to actually think that you're probably never going to see a match of his again. Definitely won't see a match of his again, really live. So it's tough.
And like it was the speech was great. Like for those who haven't watched it, and if you do have WWE Network or a way to go back and watch it was a really good speech. Like that guy, poured his heart and soul out in the middle of that ring, kind of just letting everyone know, and it was good. Like even now talking about it, I'm getting like, like whoa. But the way they gave him the send off, I think was great. They brought out Bree, and he kind of like talked about his relationship with her and how great it was, and if it wasn't for wrestling, they wouldn't have met. He talked like he gave some props out to like William Regal and some other folks, and it was really cool. And then they brought the whole locker room, which was also really cool to see all the guys in the back kind of giving the send off. And then Raw ends, it finishes, and you would think like that's the end of it. But like on the network, they had like maybe 10 more minutes, well, maybe a little less.
Yeah,
Right?
about five, like 8, maybe about 8 minutes or so, 5 to 8 minutes. A
Did
little
you catch
extra.
that?
Yeah, I turned it on right over, and then it was a little bit of bonus coverage, of everything, and it was good to see that. The final thing, Vince giving him the hug and everything, and then kind of what ensued afterwards is interesting also.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I just think for Daniel Bryan, like it's good to see him take care of himself. It's sad to see some of the older wrestlers who really haven't been able to take care of themselves and how they wind up. So good for him. He'll probably do something maybe backstage or do something kind of like maybe not announcing, but some other role in the WWE, which would be pretty cool too. But
yeah, even some kind of training role, maybe at the performance center or something like that. I'm sure he can get in there and still roll around. It's just low impact things, you know.
Right, and you know, and the Bucks tweeted out something to what you were saying, which I thought was really, you know, interesting. Like it was something like, you know, your favorite wrestlers are temporary, enjoy them while you can, kind of thing, and it's so true. So, kind of that's a good segue into like if go support, you know, what you have around town. If you want to see some of your favorite guys, go out and see them live because you know you never know when you're gonna, you know, the last time they may go in the ring. You know, it happened to Bryan. It happened to, you know, Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
With, you know, Monster Mafia, which was one of my favorite tag teams that was going through that period. I never got the chance to see them live, unfortunately. But you know, that's, you know, go out, enjoy wrestling live. I think it's way more fun than watching it on TV. You get to meet a lot of cool people. The merch is usually pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So do it.
Yeah, you get some good experiences. I actually ended up seeing Monster Mafia live one time, Buffalo, New York, for ESW Wrestling, and it was about 2 months before he actually retired, and I didn't know that, you know, at the time. So I mean, I'm glad I actually got to see him and
they were
Ethan
cool.
Page.
And they started taking them out to like PWG and some other stuff. And it's too bad, but you know, the guy has to take care of himself.
No, he does. It's you only got one body, you only got one life, so you got to take care of it.
Cool. But yeah, kind of to wrap up that Bryan thing, it was a good career. Like, you know, that whole chase for the title and that was culminated in WrestleMania 30 was like one of the best WWE moments ever.
Yeah.
So, you know, farewell, Dan and Ryan. You've got a lot of fans, and we'll be watching to what's your next step career-wise. But from then, what you were saying, there was another interesting thing that happened during that broadcast, which in the moment when I watched it was kind of weird. And you can explain, Joe, kind of what happened there.
Yeah, it happened so fast almost, but I mean, I guess it's just after Daniel Bryan and Vince McMahon hugged, and Daniel Bryan goes through the curtain. You'll see Vince McMahon, Stephanie, and Triple H trying to walk to the back, and then it looks like you can't really see who it was at first, but something grabs Vince, his arm or hand or something, pulls him in. Vince playfully, what it looks like playfully, shoved whoever it was back, and it was Titus ONeil. And it didn't look like it was anything too severe, but I could see how Vince, you know, probably wouldn't think it would be too professional, you know, on stage during a ceremony like that when all the attention should be about Bryan. So there was a punishment handed down.
What was it, 60 days, 90 days?
It was supposed to be up to 90, but I think it's 60 right now.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of sucks because Titus, he might not have been like at the top, but he was doing a lot of stuff for them, like charities and whatnot. But I think the main issue was that it was caught on TV.
Yeah.
I think had that not been like on the feed and everyone was tweeting about it, and there was images out there, like people who took little snippets of video or whatever, and I think that was what got him the suspension more than the actual act. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it could have been just to set the tone to the locker room too, you know. I mean, it was real minor of an incident to see. I mean, had it not been on TV,
yeah,
it might have been a little bit different, I feel like, because it looked like they were just playing around. It's because I mean, Stephanie's face kind of looked like she was kind of laughing a little bit when it's closing off, but I guess you never really know. I mean, 60 days, kind of harsh, I guess.
I feel bad for him. There was like people tweeting out like I think MVP and Batista were like, "Dude, there's life after WWE, and get the hell out of there." But Titus he doesn't. It looks to me like he wants to stay. Like he doesn't want to go do something else. Doesn't go. I mean, the dude's like 39, right? 38, 39?
Something like that. Yeah, I know him and Batista are pretty good friends. So I know Batista was trying to get him out, like you're saying.
But like, I mean, I don't know. Probably dude doesn't want to go work the indies and do that at this point of his career. So he's gonna stick it out. But
yeah,
I think it overall sucks. But it is what it is, and I understand. I kind of see it also from the standpoint of like a company. It's like if I go out and pull the CEO of my company and in like some sort of event, you know, I'd probably get in trouble as well.
Sure.
So yeah, I think you know it's sad, but you know, I think I'm not gonna go against it, because I think in any other company in a setting of that magnitude, if you do that to like your CEO or the president of your company, you're probably gonna get in trouble. So
Yeah.
regardless of the relationship.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah. But, you know, that's pretty much it from the WWE side. We're not going to really get into, you know, the actual Raw and SmackDown matches. I think you can find that somewhere else. There's one last piece of WWE related news I wanted to talk about, but it's also Jakara related as well. And it's Quack was down in Orlando for the week, right?
It looks like he was. He was down at the Performance Center doing some training from the sounds of it.
And I mean, when he tweeted that picture, I know you and I we texted, and you know, we're like, is he like doing this for like full time? You know, what does this mean for Jakara? And I mean, you know, bittersweet it would have been, because like, you know, it's something different for him, but like, does Jakara continue or not, that whole thing? But shortly thereafter, we just found out, you know, that it was just as a guest trainer.
Yeah, which they do. They do from time to time.
Which I think is pretty cool, and it's about, you know, it validates, you know, all the work he does and all the training he does. I mean, the dude runs, you know, a pretty good school, the Wrestle Factory. So it's good to see the WWE do that and bring in guys like Quack, or you know, other folks like that who've been, you know, ask Cesaro. Like Cesaro, a lot of what he trained was with Quack, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Sara Del Rey too, one of the head women's trainers down there, NXT. So I'm sure it was good for Quack to go down there and see her and catch up with some other people from the past. And sure, it was a good experience. He tweeted out that he learned some stuff and he's thankful for the experience, and it's good.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool, especially seeing one of our favorites out there. You know, you may or may not know, we're both pretty big Jakara fans. That's actually how, you know, we became friends. Was at a King of Trios a couple years ago, and we met another couple dudes who are part of our kind of now King of Trios gang, pretty much, if you will, and you know, from all over the place. So that, you know, that's pretty cool. So good for Quack. So sticking on the Jakara discussion, we had National Pro Wrestling Day last Sunday, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And I mean, if you've got that pulled up, like the rundown of kind of some results.
I have a brief.
Yeah, we can go over that
down here. It was a Young Lions Cup.
But just before you get into it, like what they've done with the National Pro Wrestling Days, they kind of storylines get some big developments. At least that's what's happened in like the past two of them, right? So kind of that's the preface. We'll, you know, based on that, we'll kind of go through the results. Joe will go through the results, and then we'll talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there was Young Lions Cup matchups to determine the Young Lion Cup champion. Let's see here. Wani, who I'm really not too familiar with, to be honest. I've heard the name.
I think he's a Wrestle Factory guy.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
think
probably why I haven't heard him.
Guy.
He advanced in the first matchup. And then Chuck Taylor, I can let you talk about that because I know you're pretty excited about that right there.
So, and that's why I'm wearing my Gentleman's Club t-shirt today. Just to kind of, so I haven't watched it, but I did read a lot about it on Twitter. I'm probably going to buy it pretty much just because of this. So there is an angle going on where Stokely Hathaway comes out with some girls, and you know, has a lot of pomp and circumstance, and he announces that he is the new Chuck Taylor TM trademark, because Chuck Taylor, when he announced his retirement, he eventually lost the rights to his name in Jakara. And now he's wrestling by the name of Scoot Tatum, where you can follow Scoot Tatum on Twitter. I think he's only tweeted once, but it's one of those storylines that nowhere else, like no other promotion, comes up with shit like that. Like, you're not going to see that at PWG or ZDW or whatever. And I think it's awesome. I'm invested now, especially, Chuck Taylor being one of the fan favorites. I think a lot of people are invested to see what's going to happen with Scoot Tatum and what's going to happen with Stokely as the new Chuck Taylor. And Stokely's tweeting out to Trent, like, hey, best friend, like, let's hang out. I've got, Taylor Swift tickets. Let's go. And, Trent's like, no, dude, don't do this. So I'm stoked about it. Like, Jakara has those little, and I don't know what that'll evolve into. Maybe it's just going to be kind of a side story, or maybe the new Chuck Taylor is going to have a bigger role in this next Jakara season. But I'm definitely interested in, there's a lot of questions like what's going to happen with the Gentleman's Club. Is it, the new Chuck Taylor who's going to be joining, Drew Gulak and Orange Cassidy and Swamp Monster? And if that does happen, I want to see the dynamic of how that's going to work out. So I think for me, that was the highlight of that weekend. Of course, we crowned the new Lions Cup champion, which it was the Thunder Frog, right?
Yes, it was. It was the Estonian Thunder Frog winning the Young Lions Cup matchup with a frog splash, of course.
And I'm interested to see the Young Lions Cup matches too, because there's dudes like Argus was in there, and the Crab was in there, and some other folks. So I want to see that too, but I think the Chuck Taylor angle is what's really got me interested. There was also kind of a black eye to the event. I'm not really going to get into details with that, but there was one wrestler who shall not be named who just kind of really did something against the normal expectation you would have at a Jakara show. It's like I don't get that argument from people. It's like, oh, why do they have to be family friendly? Why can't they let people curse? Like, dude, it's part of, like, you go into a job and they tell you this is the job requirements. Do you want it? Cool. Do you not want it? All right. But if you agree to that, like, stick to it,
Yeah.
So that was my only, and, Twitter blew up. Twitter already kind of addressed it. But I kind of want to stick to the show and what happened. So we've got a new Young Lions Cup champion who's the Thunder Frog, who's back to being the Thunder Frog. We've got the whole Chuck Taylor angle. And then over that same weekend, there was a lot of tweets coming from Sidney Bacabella's account.
Yeah, he's supposedly either never died, he's back from the dead, something. But I don't know if he's with Devastation Corporation or not. I believe he would be, but I guess you don't know.
I think he tweeted that he wasn't going to be with them anymore.
Okay.
Or I think it was the Devastation Corporation said something like, it's not about the Wrecking Crew, it's not about Sidney Bacabella anymore, it's just the Devastation Corporation or something like that.
Interesting.
So storylines are developing. It's kind of like Quack said, this past season was kind of like a palate cleanser between the heavy storylines that were going on the previous seasons. So it'll be nice to see a return to some more, storyline driven Jakara interactions.
Yeah, the challenge of the Immortals thing was cool, but it'll be kind of cool to get back to a regular storyline based season this year.
Right. So that's pretty much National Pro Wrestling Day. It should be out on video. Definitely check it out. Just for the Chuck Taylor part alone. I hear that Stokely's intro as Chuck Taylor was amazing. So check that out. We've covered pretty much WWE and Jakara, National Pro Wrestling Day. I knew you wanted to talk a little bit about the whole Axel Rotten situation. Axel Rotten passed away this past week, and I know you wanted to kind of bring up some memories there.
Yeah, it's just really too bad, when someone passes away like that. And I actually met him, I think it was 1997, after an ECW show in Rochester, New York. Him and Balls Mahoney at the time. Me and my friend were just hanging out on Main Street downtown. We see them too, and you can't miss those two guys,
Yeah.
And, it was after the show, and there happened to be a little alley there, and we had a camera, and they're like, "Hey guys, you want to film a promo of me and Balls in this alley?" And there was a dumpster, and they were in the alley, so we just filmed a little 30-second gimmick.
That's so ECW, man.
It really was, man. And you know what? I was 11 years old now that I'm thinking about it. And I don't even know how I got allowed to go to the ECW show at 11 years old, but
I will, when we do talk a retro flashback, I did have a note there, like, there was way too many kids at that show, the one we watched. So we'll get into that, but you're right. I
don't know. But I remember getting beer splashed on me by Sandman in the same show, so it's like, I don't know, but it's just too bad that he had to pass away. I mean, I met him a couple times. Might have been another show after that, another ECW show. Seemed like a down-to-earth, nice guy, but I'm not sure what happened there, and just rest in peace. And
yep. And then I did watch Lucha Underground, which is kind of, I think, been my jam lately, because Lucha Underground it's kind of like the Robert Rodriguez version of Jakara, and I'm all for it. Like, you had freaking Aerostar like going back in time, or there was like a clip of him with like the Aztecs. He's apparently like some sort of ancient astronaut dude. The whole Jack Evans Drago match, which was nuts. Jack Evans winning, of course, and declaring himself Jack the Dragon Slayer Evans. You had that killer Phoenix and King Cuerno kind of street fight type match, which is awesome. I know you watched you watched the Jack Evans match, right?
I seen a little bit of that, yeah. And I seen the ending. Jack went all heel on the microphone.
Right. And then, Phoenix beats Cuerno. Awesome. Phoenix, which we saw King of Trios, who was, I think, the best performer this past King of Trios. He was freaking crazy. And then the show ends. Whatever. They do a little vignette with, like some police, chief lady, and one of Big Rick's goons from the past season, who's an undercover cop, and they're bringing in Joey Ryan as an undercover cop, and he's going to kind of infiltrate the temple. So a lot of cool stuff with Lucha Underground. If you haven't been watching it, if you like Chikara, or if you like some crazy story-based wrestling, and it's good wrestling too, because next week is Pentagon Jr. against Prince Puma. So
wow, that'll be good.
Yep, so check that out. And then you wanted to talk a little about it. CM Punk apparently had a surgery, which I kind of missed.
Yeah, I know that they just determined who he was supposed to be fighting, whether it was like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And the opponent comes out, and then they determine that Punk was obviously the underdog in the fight, And then a few days later, I don't know what kind of surgery. I don't remember exactly what surgery it was, but he declared that he had to have some sort of surgery and he's gonna have to put off the fight now. So
what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I thought like it was just like some minor shit and he was still gonna fight.
I don't think he's gonna be fighting when they expected, which I think was June or July. So I don't know. He's gonna have to heal and then hopefully he can fight, before the end of this year. I'm thinking. I mean, it's been probably be close to 2 years before he even steps in there and gets his first fight. So,
and that's crazy because, so from what I've been able to perceive from most wrestling fans, it's kind of like it's they either want to see him get his ass kicked or they either want to see him like really kick ass. Like, people either love him or hate him. Like, you get the two sides. He's one of those type of guys that there's really no I don't see him Punk. He's all right. it's like, no, I fucking hate him, or CM Punk's awesome, he's the best kind of deal.
Right.
And I know a lot of wrestling fans were looking forward to see how he actually did in the ring. And of course, a lot of MMA fans wanted to see, is this guy for real, or is it just, a gimmick? He's just trying to get attention or something. So I guess that'll have to be delayed. But I really liked CM Punk as a wrestler. I think after when he quit and that whole stuff, I kind of just fell off with it.
Yeah, I mean he was a good wrestler, definitely arrogant. I don't know if this whole UFC thing is a publicity thing or just a way to get attention, or I mean, I really am not sure. I would like to see him fight, but
I was looking forward to it, and I was probably either going to go to like a bar or something to like watch it. I probably wasn't going to order it, but I would probably go to like a place where you can watch it.
Yeah, like a Buffalo Wild Wings or something usually plays them.
Yeah, get some wings, get some beer, watch him either get his ass kicked or win either way.
Yeah, it would be worth.
But that's pretty much it.
Checking it out.
Yeah, it was a. Did I miss anything? Kind of a busy week, honestly.
No. Seemed like we covered all the stuff we needed to cover there.
Pretty busy week. The only one last thing, and this is kind of just today, between today and yesterday, I saw a bunch of tweets about Manny Andrade, who used to be La Sombra in CMLL and New Japan. Apparently had a killer match with Sami Zayn, like killer. And I know La Sombra, which was one of the he was the head guy of Los Immortals, which is currently my favorite wrestling faction. I can't wait for that guy to debut in NXT. I thought, even without the mask, I'm like, that guy can be a star. And hopefully he is, because he's a damn good wrestler.
Yeah, he really is.
All right. So that kind of wraps up the overall wrestling kind of discussion, and we'll move into the gimmick of the week, which this week is this little gimmick right here.
All right.
The Funko Mystery Minis, WWE Mystery Minis vinyl figures. So, set of 12 in Series 1. You've got Undertaker, Rock, Bryans, Cena, Hulk Hogan, the Bellas, Ultimate Warrior, Andre, Sheik, Ric Flair, and George the Animal Steel. And then there's some variants, like if you go to Walmart, there's like the Walmart exclusives that I think have Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which I have, Roddy Piper. I want to say Macho Man is the third one. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
So let me go on a little minor rant here. As you guys can tell, when you buy one of these, it's sealed, so you have no clue who you're getting. I'm all for that. I buy packs of cards. I don't mind it. But I've opened, no joke, 5 Andre the Giants. And, I've got 2 Sheiks, 2 Hogans, 5 Andres, and then 1 Rick, 1 Hacksaw, and 1 George the Animal Steel. When I opened the 5th Andre, I was like, fuck this. I don't want, screw this. I don't want to buy these anymore. I'm getting screwed every time. Like, I don't know what to do with those Andres. Like, I might give an Andre away. Or 2 on Twitter. Like, what am I going to do with 5 Andre the Giants? So, and Joey, how many of these have you opened?
I have bought 3, and I don't have the Rock with me here, but I ended up just pulling Warrior and Undertaker, which are 2 of my favorites. I'm actually kind of happy I pulled those. I don't actually see them. Yeah, they are. They're actually really highly detailed for little small little things. And the paint job's cool on the Warrior. I don't see them too often around here, though. I've never seen them at Walmart, so I've never been able to get the exclusive ones.
Dude, it's like, my struggles with the Houston, like, toy hunting situation, that we're kind of late with, like, the Mattel stuff. But with these shits, I've seen them everywhere. Like, my comic book store has them. There's another, like, comic book store kind of geek culture type store that has them. I've seen them at Walmart's. I've seen them at Toys R Us's. Like, I've seen them everywhere. And that's why I bought so many of these. So, segue. At that point, after I opened my 5th Andre the Giant, I said, screw this. I'm not spending any more money on these, which these guys go for like $6.99?
Something like that, yeah.
$6.99, $7.99, depending on where you get them. So I kind of vented on Twitter and I kind of said, I'm over it. This leads to what happens next. At Shadow is the Show, who's Steve on Twitter. He's very active in the toy figure, wrestling figure community on Twitter. And Angela at a comic book girl, like, wait, whoa, there's a hack for you to ensure getting what you want. And this all came about. They were doing some like opening videos for the Stack Down Mystery, kind of random ones.
Okay.
And they went about and they said, yeah, there's a hack for these because if you look at the serial numbers, you can know what you get. And then Steve said, Shadows the Show, you can do the same with the mystery minis if you find a brand new, fresh box. So I'm like, I wasn't able to find a fresh box, but he reached out to me and he said, hey, Julio, I found a fresh box. Tell me which ones you want, like ASAP. So I shoot him a text message. Steve, I think, is like in New Jersey, like up east. And, we do our deal and he sends me all of these dudes. And I've got 7. And he said, I'll kind of tag them with who you're supposed to open.
Okay.
And you should be able to get what you're missing. So I waited about a week because they came, I think, on last Saturday. And I said to Joey, we talked to Joey and like, this would be a pretty cool gimmick of the week. So I've waited to open them, and we're going to open them right now. But before that, to even get me, even more invested in this, and you guys can probably see it on Twitter, and I think we'll just retweet it after the show. They already announced Series 2, which Series 2 will have Randy Orton, Dusty Rhodes, Mick Foley, Seth Rollins, Jake the Snake, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Sting, Sergeant Slaughter, Ted DiBiase. It's like amazing, so good. So I'm all in with these. Like, I'm gonna collect them. That's already a given. So before we open these, Joey, any other thoughts on these things?
I think they're cool, and I wish I could see them more in stores around here. And as far as Series 2, the Bret is a must-need.
Bret.
Mick Foley is real cool. The Razor Ramon. The Nash, something about the Nash, it really doesn't look like him too much. I don't really like
Nash,
that
right?
one.
That was Nash?
I think it is Nash because his singlet, I think, says Nash. It's not really the best looking one.
And he's given, the kind of the too sweet almost. I didn't know who that was for I was in class today and I saw them being spoiled. I'm like, I was the only dude that it took me a while to kind of figure out. So yeah. Oh, and side parentheses, the other thing that was awesome that they spoiled today is the new Kevin Owens and Bret Hart Funko Pops.
Yep. Yeah, those are going to be nice too.
So that'll be must-haves for my small Funko Pop collection. All right, let's get to business. So Steve was very nice enough to send these to me, and he labeled them with a little marker who's supposed to be in there. So this is supposed to be Nikki.
Okay.
We'll start with this one, and he was really cool about it. He's like, if you don't get some of the ones, I think I have several repeats in some of these, and we can just figure out kind of like a trade back kind of thing.
Well, I'd like to see if it works.
I said, let it ride. Let's do it. So this is Nikki. All right, we're 1 for 1.
Hey, okay.
That's Nikki Bella right there.
That works out for now.
So 1 for 1. And folks, you know, if you, one of the beautiful things about, you know, the wrestling figure, or just in general, like figure community, is like, I've done trades with, or like deals with so many people from like other states where they get stuff that we don't get here in Texas, or vice versa. And, you know, most people, you know, I haven't had a bad experience yet for someone like Bergen. Like most people, you follow each other for a while. You know, shit, I jumped the gun on this one. And they're really cool about it. This was supposed to be Cena. I ripped the plastic. I got a little too carried away there. But yeah, like you'll yeah, Cena. You can see it. This was supposed to be Cena. So people are cool. You know, they're really cool about it, like what happened here. And even, you know, with some folks I got of like King of Trios merch that I shipped out to them because they weren't able to be a King of Trios, especially that Young Bucks t-shirt. You know, remember that one, the Young Bucks and Bullet Club?
Yeah, the Fatality shirt. Yep.
All right, dude, we're 2 for 2.
Nice. Yeah, that one's actually pretty cool. I like that one.
Yeah, that John Cena's badass. You know, it's the back of that cap has a never give up.
That's cool.
You know, John Cena, like, we need John Cena back on TV. I'm not gonna lie.
You need a lot of people back on TV right now. That's for sure. But yeah, Cena, you do. He could be back. Hopefully by Mania. We'll see.
So we're 2 for 2. We're batting 1,000. All right, I'm saving this one for last, which is Brian. This is supposed to be Bree.
Okay.
What's your opinion on these like mystery gimmicks, Joey? Is it something like, because they have all sorts of mystery stuff, like they have Fallout and anime and whatever. What's your opinion on these?
Yeah, I could see how they definitely be popular with people, especially kids. You know, like the blind box gimmick, and it's actually popular. A lot of unboxing videos, and I think they're cool. I don't buy them that much. Just I guess I kind of don't like the unpredictability part of it, you know, because when I like collecting, I like to buy exactly what I want. I could get why people would do it, you know, but now that you know the cheat, that'll make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, there you go. And that's
There she
Bree.
is. Nice.
So 3 for 3. That Bree's pretty cool. Pretty mid. But yeah, and you brought up something really funny, and I remember over the Thanksgiving break when they did the Black Friday, the Funko Mystery Box. You were like, you got hooked on those. I know you're not one for unpredictability, but you did get hooked on those.
The GameStop ones, yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled 2 gold claptraps in a row, actually, and sold them both on eBay for a hefty profit.
I only bought one because the only thing I wanted from that box was the Fallout Power Armor. And I got the regular Fallout Power Armor on my only box, and I quit while I was winning. I'm like, I know it's going to be downhill from here if I keep buying these.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, those were interesting. I mean, the Funko part or the pop part was cool. But I'm not really too big into the reaction figures because they were given those with them. They were okay. I don't really like those too much.
Yeah, like I had a Fifth Element reaction figure, which was like utter garbage in my box, like utter garbage.
I think I got Tomorrowland, or I don't even know what that is. Something like that. Stupid shit.
Yeah, I think the mystery gimmick concept is. I think it's cool. It's like buying a pack of Magic cards or baseball cards, but it can get frustrating. It's happened to me with these and the other ones. They have I think it's a Kid Robot, like the different characters Cartman's played on South Park.
Okay.
And Cartman's one of my favorites. But those are not cheap. Those are like $12 each. And I've opened 2 of the same Cartmans and I stopped buying. Like I bought 2 and I got the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they have Megaman like that too. I think they're like $11.99 or $12.99 each. That's kind of expensive for just taking a crack at it. you know.
And I really wanted that Cartman as Awesome. That's one of my favorite Cartman episodes, but I gave up. I'm like, shit, I'm not spending this $12 each time to just crack the beats.
No, for sure.
All right, let's get back to it. This is supposed to be Warrior, Ultimate Warrior, which you already have. Let's see how this one works out. Yeah, this is, you know, I really like the mystery minis. Like, I wouldn't do the stack down ones. I don't like stack down figures.
I just bought the NWO set of those guys. I don't have anything else as far as that, though.
Was that NWO like a Toys R Us exclusive?
Kmart, I think.
Kmart?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have Kmart's in this neck of the woods. So.
Oh, no? Yeah, I think they're all closing around here anyway. Warrior.
Dude, I like the little, like, his arm tassels.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And the paint is, like, badass.
The teeth. I like the painted on teeth. They're pretty funny looking.
I think this might be the coolest one in that series. Sheik's pretty cool. The Iron Sheik's pretty cool. All right, so this is next one, Taker.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with like these collectibles. Like, if you find something you like, you kind of wind up getting hooked on it. Like, you know, we may do a Kimpuro episode because that's another one of my current addictions. Like, I bought like 3 boxes of Kimpuro so far, and I think they're awesome. It's awesome. So. All right, with 5 for 5.
Nice.
Yeah, that Taker's pretty cool. I'm not a big Taker fan. I think he's, I mean, it's not a knock against him. He's just, I never really kind of clicked with me like Taker's best. But he's cool. Next one up is
Rock.
The Rock. Yep.
Nice.
That Rock is cool. Like, you got the tats on him. You got the eyebrow. Pretty cool. All right, so this is, if this is who it's supposed to be, we're 7 for 7, and I officially completed my Series 1, not counting the Walmart exclusives, of the Funko Mystery Minis. And what I will do, because I have so many goddamn Andre the Giants, once we do we finish the Finn Balor giveaway, I'll give out a couple of Giants.
All right, cool.
Because what am I going to do with fucking 5 Andre the Giants?
Yeah, it couldn't hurt to give a couple away.
Yeah, we'll do a little giveaway for Giants. And I'll do like, and this will be a little bit different, and we'll talk a little bit about this, Joey, later, but I want to do like one of those where like someone has to answer, like name a moment or something like that. And I'll do like the main first prize, we'll do a Hogan and a Giant, like WrestleMania 3 tape. We'll do it that way.
All right, cool.
Yep. And of course,
the Yes Man.
We went 7 for 7.
That's nice, man.
Freaking Shadows of the Show hooked it up. We've got the 7. I'll tweet out a picture of the full collection, so we'll put it on the Twitter account.
That worked out better than I thought, man. That worked out good.
I was interested to see what the whole deal was going to be because, I didn't know about these life hacks, but apparently they work. So you should be able to find them on Twitter pretty easy. Kind of the layout. It's pretty much, they show a fresh box, and it shows the layout of what you call it, like the numbers, like the one top right, top left supposed to be a certain wrestler, and then so on and so forth. So they kind of stack them the same way. All right, so that was the gimmick of the week, which was pretty awesome. Before we move into our quick retro wrestling, let's talk about this week's pickups. And then, okay. Joey, you got a pretty good gem that you found on eBay.
Yeah, it's something I had when I was a kid. And well, I don't know how much of a kid I was. I guess it was 1998. So about 12, same area as the ECW show I was at. I was searching around all the local game stores, calling around, seeing if anyone had them in stock, but it seems like they're all in dumpsters by now, except for eBay. So I found this Nintendo Power WCW NWO edition, exclusive edition.
And that game, like, I know Fire Pro is where I've been lately.
Yeah.
But Fire Pro aside, that is my favorite wrestling game.
No, me too. Yeah, absolutely. I spent many of sleepovers with friends and many long nights playing this game. And just kind of getting this in the mail the other day just kind of brought it all back to me, just flipping through the pages and reading all the moves.
So what's in it? Like what? Because I didn't own that magazine. So
well, basically,
what do you get?
As far as the magazine in general.
No, the part related to the game, like the general, there's probably articles of other stuff, but
basically it gives you the exclusive move sets. Then, because I mean you got to figure, days before the internet, kind of. I mean the internet was kind of there, but I mean 97, 98, it wasn't really what it is today, So I mean you got to figure we got magazines. That was the number one way to really supply the information to all the gamers, So basically, it gives you the brief kind of character list. You could see a little bit. I don't know if you could see there.
Yeah, you got Hollywood Hogan.
Little character list there. Then it kind of gives you the moves: Bogus, Sting, Kevin Nash, Bagwell. This is NWO's attributes right here. That's the NWO page. Gives you their list.
Bogus Sting is like
Bogus
the best
Sting. It is. Scott Norton 6. Then you got Master Fuji here.
Because I know they did like if you remember the game, there was like a lot of the Japanese wrestlers just with like a changed name.
Right? Yeah, no, that is true. Lex Luger, Kevin Nash, Sting. It's basically just kind of like a guide to all the moves, before the internet was, what it is. So just a couple hidden tips and stuff like that. Glacier, Black Widow, Macho Man.
Yeah, that would have been cool to have back in the day. We kind of had to figure shit out.
Yeah, I had this actually when the game came out, so that was kind of cool.
Who was your go-to character in that game?
I used the NWO guys a lot, for sure. I mean, I'd like to use Kevin Nash, Scott Hall.
I was either Bret Hart or Scott Hall.
Okay, yeah.
Scott Hall was the man, and they even did the taunt. That taunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, for sure. It was simple, but I mean, it was real fun. Yeah, I remember that much.
And I remember my favorite arena was the Halloween Havoc one. That's where I used to throw down.
Yep. That was always one of my favorite pay-per-views by them also.
Yeah. I think that's just a victim of its time. Like, even they spoiled one of the new kind of play sets for the at that WWE, for that toy show, WWE, and it has this like weird like cell. And it reminded me of, you remember like Halloween Havoc, like 91, where they had that electric chair match?
Yeah.
With Abdullah the Butcher getting, electrocuted. That's what that kind of reminded me. But yeah, it was a great. That might be something we need to do for retro wrestling.
Yeah,
A Halloween Havoc. But anyways, that's what you got this week, right, Jay?
I picked up the magazine, and actually, not really wrestling related, but I got the Star Wars Black Series figure. Every time I go to the store and I see one of these, I try to grab one.
Yeah, those are cool. Not necessarily, my cup of tea. I mean, I like Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but I think my other than wrestling, I have amiibos and pops. That's good. That's pretty much what I got. What I get.
Yeah,
but those are cool. Those are like really detailed.
Yeah, they are. I really am not too into Star Wars, to be honest, but it's just every time I see these Black Series figures, and I know there's certain ones that are harder to find than others, I grab them. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's Captain Phasma. I've never seen this one until the other day. So I mean, and I go figure hunting kind of regularly. So if I
That
see
packaging is
something,
nice.
it is. The Black Series is actually really nice. I mean, they're $21.99, something like that. But
Like an elite.
yeah, I mean, they make the 6-inch. This is the 6-inch. They also make the 3-inch figure, which is a little, obviously half the size. But I like this one. I like the packaging's nice. I have about 6 of them, I think, now.
Cool.
And that's about it for this week. The weather's been real cold and snowy, so I haven't been going around too much.
Yeah. As for me, this was a pretty slow week too. Like I said earlier, I was traveling for most of the week, but I did a little online toy hunting, and I picked up a kind of a gem, and it's my Shinsuke Nakamura
Wow.
fig doing his signature pose. I hope you guys can see the detail of that like face scan.
And they made 2 versions of that, right? Red pants and black pants.
Red pants and black pants, and I got this through at Puro Central. It's a dude who he just imports a bunch of stuff from Japan. That's where I get the Compuro cards, and he brought some of these. Weren't cheap, but I think definitely worth it. And I think there's 3 actually, because there's a like translucent version.
Oh, okay.
And that's the card on the back.
Yeah, that's real nice. That's only going to go up in value with him signing WWE. And
yeah, and I hopefully I can get him to sign this. The only thing that really I didn't like, can you notice like there's like some plastic wrapper around the figure?
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, let's see. I'm getting some weird reflection, but you see like around his hands there's like a plastic wrapper.
Yeah, okay.
And it goes all around the figure, and it's weird. Like I don't open my figures, as you guys can tell. I don't intend to open this one, but it's kind of thrown me off, and it makes me feel like shit. I need to open this, but I don't think I'm gonna open.
I know that's tough because I imagine that with the way he's doing his gimmick would be cool set up loose, But then I understand where keep it in the box, holds its value, and I like looking at him in the box better as far as a design.
And I love the packaging too. Although I guess the Japanese, if you compare the packaging of like the standard elite versus this, which is I guess comparable, but the packaging could be better, I would say. But I'm extremely happy about it. I mean, it was something I've been wanting for quite a while now. I still wish I could go get the Okada that came out, I think, last year. But I think it's cool. I think the face scan is really good. He's doing his signature kind of snarl. He's in one of his like signature poses. Obviously, not like the American Mattels where you can pose and change their poses and whatnot. This guy, that's his pose, and that's it. And then you've got the back with like a little picture of him and his stat sheet. But this was good for me. I'm pretty excited. That really made my toy hunting week, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good pickup, man. Nothing you can find in stores, you know, so that's a hell of a find.
All right. So with that, that was our kind of a weekly toy pickups or whatnot. And now we get into retro wrestling for this week. And Joey, what do we have this week?
This week, you selected ECW Hardcore TV 165, June 18th, 1996.
So the reason I picked it was, I've already confessed my love for WCW. I'm a WCW guy. I don't know why, because I grew up in New York City, but still. But ECW was a revelation when I discovered it. Like, I was 96, I was 11 years old. And I remember this came on like this weird channel we had on cable, and it like blew my mind because it was so different than anything else. And even like going back and watching, the episode 165, even before the show, Joey and I were kind of talking about how the show was laid out and how we were going to address it. And it's like someone with ADD. It's like their dream come true because there's so much shit happening. Like, and they move on from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. So the show opens up with like a recap of like what's gone on for the past couple of weeks, and it's like very like bullet, little 20 seconds, 30 seconds, little snippets. And they go over Taz, who's feuding with this like dude from like an MMA dude that I didn't recognize.
Me neither. Big dude though, but
Yeah,
I don't know who the hell he was.
Borland or something like that. But that wasn't for me. I was to see some of the guys that I grew up watching, like they did a little recap of the feud that was going on with Raven and Dreamer, which is one of the best feuds in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Ever. Like I remember, like at that age, almost crying because Tommy Dreamer every time would get his ass kicked by friggin' Raven. Who in retrospect, Raven is cool as hell, but back then, as a kid, I wanted Tommy Dreamer to kick his ass.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a Raven fan. Still am. One of my favorite. Underrated, in my opinion. But
yeah, no.
As far as a character, I mean, as a character, he's one of the best,
And the promos are some of the best.
Yeah, they were unreal.
So we go through this recap. Taz and his beef with the MMA guy, Raven and Dreamer. There's a little recap with Shane Douglas against Pitbull number 2, and he loses the belt, and he does a belly-to-belly suplex on Francine. So they go through these little bullets. There's another little snippet of Rob Van Dam and Sabu, which is another great rivalry because those dudes, like at that time frame, like they were doing stuff that no one else was doing.
Yeah,
they were just so innovative. And then there was a little snippet with the Gangsters, which I think New Jack is one of like the scariest dudes ever.
He is. Yeah.
Have you ever met New Jack?
No, and I'm kind of happy. I mean, I don't know that I don't think he was on the shows because I went to a couple ECW shows live in 1997, 98 when they came here, and I imagine he might have been on the show, but I just don't remember ever really having a personal experience meeting him or anything.
Yeah, like that dude is like legit scary. And then they do Joey Styles plugs in the upcoming pay-per-view, which is Hardcore Heaven '96, which is weird. Like if you look at the main events, it's RVD versus Sabu in some sort of death match, and Jericho against Pitbull number 2 for the title, which was a little random in my opinion. But Jericho's one of my top faves. So, it doesn't really follow a normal, like, if you watch a Nitro or a WWE Raw where you have, intro, promo, match, promo, kind of like the standard kind of wrestling show template. They do this like it was almost like 10 minutes of recaps, right?
Yeah.
And then they do like these little mini, where it's not a full match, but it's like a brief like summaries of matches, right?
Yeah, it was definitely kind of weird. It was really kind of hard to follow along at some points. It seemed like.
I mean, I didn't mind it. I remember as a kid, I thought it was so cool because it's so different. But I think now that we've gotten used to like the Lucha Underground and SmackDown, like that type of format, it was kind of different because I haven't watched ECW hardcore TV in a while. But they go into these little summaries. And what was the first one? Tommy Dreamer against who was that?
Man,
Brian Lee.
Brian Lee in a weapons match type of thing. I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, like go over that one then, because that was like crazy. It was good though. That little like 5 minutes was great.
Yeah, I mean, they were just, is that when they were beating the hell out of each other in the street and everything, right? With oncoming
Yeah.
traffic. And yeah, I mean, it was basically just an all out brawl. Tommy Dreamer, Brian Lee, weapons match, just beating the hell out of each other, outside, inside.
Like, yeah, like Brian Lee wins the match, like chokeslamming Tommy Dreamer on like a trash, like a dumpster.
Yeah, the dumpster. Yep.
So that wraps that up, which wasn't a full match. And then we get, one of my favorite ECW dudes, Stevie Richards.
Yeah, who doesn't look too much different today.
Yeah, like we saw him at Trios last year, remember?
Yeah, him and Meanie and Nova.
Meanie hasn't changed. I mean, he's just gotten older, but he's still the same body type and everything. Right? But yeah, it was ECW TV was kind of crazy. Like we did they start Stevie and Meanie and they're going through this gimmick where they're copying other people's gimmicks, right?
Yeah, they were. They couldn't come up with their own shtick, so they kind of brought their own element to other people's gimmicks.
Yeah, and in this ECW TV they were doing and that was when Bobby Eaton was one of like a blue bloods dude, and he was the Earl of Eaton. So it was Sir Stevie Regal and the Earl of Eating, who was Blue Meanie, and they came out with like their colonial hats and the wig and everything. And Stevie has the shittiest British accent. I mean, I can't do one, but neither can him. He can't do one either.
It was pretty awful.
So they come up and they confront Sandman, who this was a weird angle. Like some doctor dude comes out and he's basically saying Sandman shouldn't be fighting, it's gonna hurt my reputation and whatever. And then he makes Missy Hyatt make out with the doctor.
Yeah, it puts a lot of fans off nowadays. I know that kind of angle, but yeah, I guess that was his way to maybe get the doctor to let him wrestle. I really don't know. Lets him make out with him, and then he kisses her, and then
I will say, like, I know, you bring a good point. Like, those types of stuff don't really fly with a lot of wrestling fans nowadays, which is fine. I agree with that. Like, I think that was a different time and place in terms of how we are as people. But it's just crazy to see some of the stuff they were doing, and like envisioning them trying to do that same angle now, it would cause a shitstorm.
yeah, there's no way they can get away with that stuff now.
So that the doctor makes out with Missy Hyatt, so I guess the doctor doesn't care anymore about like Sandman's knee, and he starts going at it with Stevie. And it was kind of like it was 5 minutes, nothing too crazy. Stevie puts him in a figure four leg lock. Dreamer starts hitting him with the kendo stick. And then Meanie gets involved, Missy Hyatt gets involved, and then Raven comes out, right?
Yeah, Raven comes out a bloody mess. Still,
I don't know, why was he bloody? Like, did they say?
they didn't say. I mean, I'm guessing it might have been from something happened that obviously earlier in whatever episode they didn't show. But he was all bloody and basically beat the hell out of Tommy Dreamer. He was gushing
And that's
blood,
kind
legit.
of yeah, and that's kind of the like you said, it's kind of one of those hard, why it's hard to follow. Like, you're in the middle of this recap that if you don't have any context, you don't know what's happening, and then Sandman shows up. No, I'm sorry, Raven shows up, a bloody mess. Like, and I thought I had missed, like, if they said something, but they don't say why he's bloody. He just comes out and starts beating the crap out of Sandman. So that's kind of like the gaps in the storytelling and how they structured these ECW hardcore TVs, which, it's hard to follow now, but as a kid, you're like, whoa, this dude who's all bloodied up, is coming out and kicking some ass. And, I guess we had a different perspective back then. But, yeah, that whole little angle finishes, which they should do a Bloody Raven Elite.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Right. So, angle ends, and they move on to the next, which is an actual match. We finally get a match in our ECW TV, which was the only full match with Sabu and Mike Whipwreck, right?
Yeah, actually, it was a pretty good match. It went on for about 15 minutes. It felt like.
Yeah, it was like 50. I think I timed it like 15 and change. And Mikey, everyone loved Mikey, right? He was like the ultimate underdog type thing.
Yeah.
Before Daniel Bryan and before all these storylines, it was Mikey Whipwreck. And the crowd chanting ECW, and they're hot for it. And that was the thing with these ECW matches, that they were rough, dude. Like, not rough in a bad way, but there was some hard hit, like some hard spots.
Yeah, they really were. They put their bodies through hell there.
Like, let's go over some of these spots. Like, there was like a couple of springboard spots where Sabu jumps on the chair, springboards off the ropes, and then over the rail to land on, which is crazy. And then there was that Mikey Whipwreck elbow from the top rope onto the table on Sabu. Was the first really big high spot.
Yeah, especially because this was the announcers. I think Joey Styles said that this was Sabu's first match back from the neck injury that RVD put him through. So to be doing stuff like that, the first match back, he's insane.
I wasn't sure if that was like kayfabe neck injury or like legit neck injury.
Right. I guess you never know.
But still, it was like they did that spot, and then there was another couple of interesting. Sabu does a pop-up power bomb as we know it now, which is Kevin Owens' move, but he does one of those, and I think Joey Styles calls it a tiger bomb.
Okay, yeah.
And at this point, it's what we were talking about earlier, where there was a lot of kids in the arena.
There was.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, there really was. I imagine they're with their parents, but it was a risky product back then,
it's like you said, you don't know how you were 11 and they let you go to these things.
Yeah, my dad took us, now that I'm thinking about it. So he was with us in the building. Somehow he doesn't like wrestling, but somehow he sat through an ECW show or two, and I give him a lot of credit there.
And even looking at some of the old Attitude Era shows, they were doing some crazy stuff, and my mom, she knew I would watch wrestling, but I guess in her mind it was so like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3 type thing. And, you know, she never really caught on to, like, you know, some of the crazier stuff that was going on, like ECW, or, you know, some of the moments, at some of the WWE Raw moments, which were kind of pretty inappropriate for, like, an 11-year-old. But, you know, thanks, Mom, for letting me watch ECW and Attitude Era Raw.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was surprised. There was a ton of little kids. You could see them. You could hear them. And I'm like, shit. You know, we were pretty irresponsible back then. But, you know, ECW, right? And then there was a crazy sick springboard DDT on a table. So Sabu does a springboard off the ropes, catches Mikey Whipwreck on, you know, with the DDT on the table, which was between the apron and the railing. And that was crazy. It was like a really cool spot.
That was a sick spot.
Classic Sabu spot. And that's pretty much it. You know, he rolls him into the ring, pins Mikey Whipwreck. They shake hands. It was a good exchange. Mikey got some good offense in as well. But, you know, he wasn't going to beat Sabu. Like, they were building up Sabu and Rob Van Dam. Mikey wasn't going to win. What do you think overall of that match?
I thought it was a pretty good match. You know, Mikey Whipwreck is kind of underrated as a worker, I think. You know, I mean, a lot of people loved him as a talent, but I mean, he actually put on a damn good match, you know, and he wasn't afraid of taking any of the spots that Sabu wanted to put him through. So they shook hands at the end, like you're saying, showed respect for each other. And I mean, he had a hell of a career in ECW. You know, he's actually from Buffalo, New York, Mikey Whipwreck, they said. About an hour from here.
Who trained him? Do you know? This is just like super nerdy wrestling question, but do you know who trained Mikey Whipwreck?
I did at one point, but right now I just can't think of who exactly it was.
We'll ask it on Twitter, because that's like he seems to me like one of those guys that was like, I don't know his history all that well, like I guess the behind the scenes stuff, but he seems like to me like one of those guys that kept going to the shows, and eventually someone decided to train. That's an assumption I'm making, but
I think it's not much different than that. I think it's literally he just kind of was on the ring crew, you know, and Paul Heyman literally just threw him in a ring and he started bumping around. That's literally what I think happened, but could be wrong.
We'll ask it on Twitter. We'll use the Twitter hive mind to get an answer there. So the only match of the show, match finishes. We've got about 10 minutes to go on the show, and they cut to like a playground, and then there's Raven sitting there in the dark, and I'm like, yes, a Raven promo. ECW Raven promos are some of the best ones. I'm psyched about it. I don't know what he was wearing a sick Dinosaur Jr. t-shirt, which is a really good band.
Yep, I wrote that down also.
So at this point, you're expecting a Raven promo, right?
I was expecting a typical Raven promo. Darkness, wearing his typical, you know, grungy type of outfit with the hair and everything.
Yeah, and like brooding, kind of hating the world. And then in comes Stevie Richards, and I'm like, okay, because at this point, you know, Stevie and Mimi were like part of his flock, right? Part of his like.
Yeah, they were like the lackeys, I guess you call them, or some kind of thing like that.
So Raven goes on this rant as like, you know, that he brought him to his childhood playground where he had bad memories, and Stevie brought him Beulah, which also bad memories because he loved Beulah, blah blah blah. And then Kimono Wanalea, and then Stevie introduced her to her, and then after that fiasco, apparently Raven had asked Stevie Richards to get him like this, you know, the dirtiest, you know, filthiest type girl. And they used some language that I'm not going to repeat, and there was some language that was bleeped out. But basically, he wanted like you know, the filthiest girl Stevie could find, because that's a reflection of the world. And apparently, and this caught me at like left field, that Stevie also had introduced her to Divine Brown, who is the prostitute that Hugh Grant was hooking up with in that car when he cheated on Elizabeth Hurley. I'm like, what the hell is this, like TMZ or whatever? But I thought that was hilarious. Like I laughed, and he said that she wasn't filthy enough.
Yeah. Yep.
So what was your take when this kind of spiraled into something which was not a typical Raven promo, but like something a little weirder at this point?
I mean, I was hoping it was just the original traditional Raven promo until they panned over to the playground or the swing or whatever that gimmick was, and then it was the Blue Meanie, who Bluedust, if you want to call him.
Yeah, so he was doing the whole Goldust gimmick, but we all know that Meanie isn't the most fit individual in the world. That's okay. I'm not the most fit individual in the world.
Me neither.
Yeah. But there's Meanie. He's naked with like a doll covering his his junk, and he's like covered in like the blue
Frosting? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
And he's talking like Goldust, and Stevie Richards like, yeah, I found you the filthiest person ever, and check this out. And he's doing the whole Goldust gimmick, and I'm weirded the hell out. Like at this point, I'm like, oh, whatever. And it wound up being more of a comedic angle than anything, dark or anything. And Raven was not having it. He's like, no, one of the requirements is for this person to be a female. You screwed up, Stevie. And Raven kind of leaves, and Bluedust is still doing his old Goldust gimmick and just being kind of inappropriate. And then Stevie and Bluedust kind of give up, and that was that, right? And then Stevie swipes some frosting off of Bluedust's chest, and like he tastes it. So obviously a bizarre little comedic promos, right?
Yeah, it was. Raven definitely said he wasn't feminine enough for him, so I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much the end of the show, right? I think they did they did the pulp promo, which since WWE Network doesn't want to use the rights, they can't use Mr. Lou from Pulp Fiction, so they do kind of like a variation of that.
Yeah.
And they go through kind of like hyping up this whole the gangsters and the eliminators, and hyping up all these matches that are going to be going down at the pay-per-view. And that's pretty much the wrap of the show. Like they do the Pulp promo, which are some of my favorites, and I'm pretty sure you can still find them with the actual Pulp Fiction song on YouTube. But WWE Network does that, which was kind of a bummer for me. And that was that. It was like about 40 minutes, 45-minute show.
Yeah. I think there was more like recaps of other events, than actual matches. But I guess it's probably how hardcore TV was. I mean, I really didn't watch too many episodes of that. But yeah, about 40, 45 minutes or so. Went by pretty fast.
I did watch a bunch of those like in 96, 97, and that was pretty much it. But I guess you also have to keep in mind that time frame of ECW didn't have like a reoccurring like Nitro and Thunder, or that was eventually what happened, and WCW had Saturday Night, so they had several shows to develop storylines, whereas ECW didn't really have that. So I guess they were trying to condense as much information and as much kind of advancing of the storyline in that 45 minutes that they had, which is why it's kind of a barrage of stuff that now you're like, man, they're kind of overloading it. As a kid, not having, 1996, I didn't have easy access to the internet, and it was just kind of whatever ECW TV had. That's what I'm going to know going into the next show. So I kind of get why that was the approach for the ECW TV kind of layout. So overall, impressions of the show, is it a Talking Gimmicks 2 thumbs up? You should check it out, or is it something you can live without?
The ECW, I give it 2 thumbs up. I mean, it brings me back memory-wise. It's good to see these guys because I mean, a lot of them are still doing it today. So that's another interesting thing. Like we were saying, we both seen Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, King of Trios, Jakara last year, and Stevie he looks like he's in better shape now than he was then. So
yeah, Stevie, he's doing that DDP yoga. He's like a DDP yoga certified instructor.
Yeah,
he's in good shape, dude. Steve's in good shape, and yeah, I've always thought he had one of the best super kicks. The Stevie kick is really, I think the way he does it is really good. But I think from a nostalgia value, it's worth checking it out. If you're into weird shit, there's the Bluedust segment at the end.
Yeah,
that's all. But I think the match was decent. I think ECW, the ECW hardcore TVs are just nostalgic value alone are entertaining. So yeah, I'm not doing 2 thumbs up in terms of like the action, but I think check it out. It's a good stroll down memory lane, especially like you who went to live ECW shows, or like me who watched a lot of these hardcore TV episodes back in the day. It does bring you back to like that time frame. So I'd recommend it. I think you'd check it out just for the entertainment value.
Yeah, there's a lot of action in that short period of time for sure.
Yep. So that does it for our retro wrestling of the week. So then we did our first giveaway this week, right, Jay?
Yeah, give away the 2 sets of WCW and WWF playing card starter sets. We had 2 winners.
Yep.
Josh and James. I don't exactly have their Twitter handles on me here, but you mailed those out, correct?
Yeah. I stopped by, dropped those off today because I was out all week, and yesterday I really didn't have time, so they went out in the mail today. They should be getting them through the course of this week. And we contacted them. It was cool. I'm glad that we'll share in the either fun or lack thereof of those card games, depending on who you ask. But I think it was cool. It's cool to share some of that stuff with people who follow us and support what we're trying to do here, which is basically dick around for an hour and a half or so and talk gimmicks and wrestling. So kudos. We've got the second giveaway, which I think has a little bit more of a build-up just because, Finn Balor, the Finn Balor WWE first in the line figure, right?
Yeah, this figure here. It's kind of hard to find for a lot of people.
I know, dude. Look, I haven't seen Finn Balor hit the shelves here in Houston. Not gonna lie. I wish I could participate and win, but that's obviously a conflict of interest, and we would look like total douchebags if you did that. So, a lucky follower will get it. Joey will mail it out from frigid upstate New York.
Yeah,
and
I'll make sure to pack it nice and warm for him.
And that's happening this Monday night, right? At Raw, during Raw.
Yeah, Monday night, the 15th, roughly 10 p.m. Eastern timing, give or take a little bit. I'll tweet it out. Just follow us on Twitter.
Make sure you follow us at Talking Gimmicks. If you want the Finn Balor, make sure you retweet that picture on top of following us. The picture's pinned, so it'll be at the top of our feed, and you can win that. And, here we are giving out fun stuff. And I think the next giveaway will probably be my repeat Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, and do like a WrestleMania 3 thing. So, what am I going to do with them, right? I have 5 Andre the Giants. Someone has no Andre the Giants.
Right.
That'll be the next one. So make sure you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you're, checking us out, interact. We love to see what you guys have in terms of collections or stuff that you picked up. And that's kind of pretty much it where we're at with our kind of giveaways, fun little things we're doing with our page. We also have an email, which is talkinggimmicks@gmail.com. You can send out suggestions for, retro wrestling. You can send out suggestions for gimmicks. We're all ears. And we've got, of course, our Twitter, which is @talkinggimmicks, TALKINGIMMICKS, which we're always posting stuff that we either, people are sharing with us or stuff that is of interest in the wrestling world or in the collecting world. So with that said, any parting shots, Joe, anything you wanted to plug before we kind of wrap this up?
Well, before we get together next week, both of us will have watched for next week's retro wrestling episode. If you want to play along at home, you can on the WWE Network. This week I chose WWF Saturday Night's Main Event, May '89. So if you want to follow along on the network, we're kind of throwing it back. That was a long time ago.
That's throwing it back. And the good thing, the way we this was unintentional. We started with WCW, ECW, WWE, kind of different time frames too. Well, the Nitro and the ECW are kind of the same time frame, but this is going back. So we'll tweet that out so you guys can follow along. I'll probably live tweet a little bit of it once I sink my teeth into it. But yeah, that should be pretty fun. We still don't know the gimmick of the week for next week, so that'll be something we'll probably tweet out as well. And that's about it. Shout outs to @Shadow of the Show. We're hooking up with the Funko Minis. And shout out to Puro Central for the Nakamura. And shout out to all the guys that have been interacting, War Eagle and Anster and Figure Scopers. There's a lot of people who've been interacting, and shout out to you guys because we don't make any money out of this. So we do this because we just want to hang out and meet people and talk gimmicks and expand kind of the little mini niche community that we have of trading figures and discovering things in our favorite hunts and that kind of stuff. So I think that's all for me. I really don't have anything else to plug. I don't have anything else to plug. Joey, any other shows? Anything worthwhile?
That's pretty much it. I got to get ready to go snow plowing early in the morning, so I'll freeze my ass off.
I don't. So I'm pretty happy about that. I think I'm gonna go watch some New Japan. How about that? I think I'm gonna go watch some New Japan. So you guys take it easy, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, I'm gonna go warm up, man. I'll see you later.